Hello, everyone. Today, I'll explain the history of opium. It ruined the entire world, yet it's called a divine medicine. Let's make it super simple. Let's dive right in. The time is thousands of years ago. It's ancient Mesopotamia. The people who built the world's very first civilization said this: "We found a magical plant. It takes away all pain and suffering. It's a plant called the poppy. Slicing the pod makes a milky white sap slowly ooze out." They dried this sap into a dark brown resin. Then, they drank it as medicine. Instantly, it erased every bit of pain. It made them feel like they were in heaven. Back then, this was a divine medicine. It saved them from the terror of surgery. This is opium. But opium carried a terrifying curse. Use it once, and it jacks your brain. You can never stop until you die. You are in heaven while using it, but the moment it wears off, a hellish agony hits you. Your body becomes completely trapped. You cannot survive without it. Heaven and hell brought by opium. People actually suspected this insane danger since ancient times, but humanity could not resist. Feeling good and losing pain was just too convenient. Before long, Egyptian sorcerers and Greek warriors were hooked. Everyone fell for this magic. Everyone knew it was dangerous. Still, opium spread from person to person. Like a silent virus, it infected the entire world. Let's fast forward to the late 18th century. The main character is Great Britain, the world's strongest, most aggressive superpower. British people at the time were absolutely obsessed with Chinese tea. On the flip side, China wanted nothing from Britain, so Britain had to pay entirely in silver. Britain bought massive amounts of tea. As a result, they faced a giant crisis. Their silver was rapidly flowing out of the country. It was running dry, and their wallet was almost empty. We want the tea, but we don't want to pay the money. Thinking this way, Britain's mega-corporation, the East India Company, came up with a wild plan. Hey, let's mass-produce opium in India. Then we can secretly sell tons of it to China. Britain knew exactly how addictive opium was, but they planned to force-feed it to China anyway. And so, they designed a truly devilish business model. First, Britain sells massive amounts of Indian opium to China. Then, Britain sends textiles to India. In return, they get tea from China. This is the famous triangular trade. In this way, Britain got tons of tea. They didn't lose a single coin of their own silver. Meanwhile, what happened to China? Flooded with opium, the entire nation literally collapsed into a zombie country. Shop clerks, sweating laborers, people everywhere were smoking. They became completely unable to work. When it wore off, an agonizing pain hit them. It felt like their bones were shattering. Addicts crawled on the floor, desperate for more. Eventually, 1 in 4 adult males became heavily addicted. All of China's money was sucked straight into Britain. Realizing this was a disaster, China threw over 20,000 chests of opium into the sea. They tried to ban the trade. This made Britain absolutely furious. You think you can just stop now? No way in hell! It's war! This is how the Opium War broke out. China was already ruined and addled by opium. They stood no chance, and Britain completely crushed them. Losing the war, China faced a hellish agreement. They had Hong Kong stolen and were forced to legalize opium. Opium destroyed China, but the story doesn't end here. Now, it returns with the power of science. It gets a massive upgrade and attacks the world. Enter the German pharmacist, Sir Turner. He said, "I'm going to extract just the pure pain-killing ingredient. I'll create the ultimate painkiller." What did he mean? Sir Turner thought, opium ruins everyone because it's messy. Bad ingredients are mixed all over the place. So he figured, if I cleanly remove those bad parts and extract only the pure ingredient, I can make a safe medicine. It'll never cause addiction. So he drastically re-engineered opium. In 1804, he successfully extracted white crystals called morphine. He wanted to know the exact effects, so he did a crazy human experiment. He gave this unknown morphine to himself and 3 local teenagers. Suddenly, the kids turned pale. Their breathing almost stopped, and they nearly died. They were saved at the last second. But in the end, Sir Turner's own brain was jacked by the addiction. He turned into a total wreck. Fast forward another 90 years. This time, Felix Hoffmann steps up. He was a scientist at Bayer, Germany's top pharmaceutical company. If we mix morphine with another substance, can't we get a 100% safe cold medicine? One that never causes addiction? What this means is that until then, morphine was just a raw ingredient. It was pulled directly out of opium. So Hoffman thought, let's react morphine with something else. If we transform it, we can keep the good power and delete the dangerous addiction. That's how heroin was born. The pharmaceutical company was thrilled. They promoted it seriously. Unlike that dangerous morphine, this will absolutely never cause addiction. Heroin was sold as a gentle cough syrup for children. Mothers bought it with smiles on their faces. It spread across the globe in a flash. However, the most horrifying truth came to light later. In reality, heroin was a devilish drug. It jacked the human brain at several times the speed of morphine. By the time anyone realized, it was already way too late. Addicts exploded in numbers all over the world. In the US alone, within just a few years, hundreds of thousands of people turned into total wrecks. Then why don't we just wipe out dangerous things like opium and morphine right now, you might think. But in reality, it doesn't work that way. No matter how much science advances, humanity has failed to create a better alternative. Nothing fits perfectly into the brain's pain-vanishing switch like morphine. If we completely erased morphine from the world right now, what would happen? To terminal cancer patients writhing in agony or people crushed in accidents, doctors would have to say, painkillers are too dangerous. Just endure it until you pass out. In fact, until the 1950s, hospitals were in exactly that kind of hellish panic. The laws back then said, morphine is dangerous. You must never use it. Morphine had created hundreds of thousands of addicts. It was treated by the world as a devil's drug and completely banned. That's when a British doctor named Cicely Saunders stepped up. She said, "It is completely wrong for people who are about to die to suffer in agony. We shouldn't just worry about addiction." The common sense at the time was clear. If you keep using morphine, you will absolutely become an addict. But through Cicely's research, she discovered a secret. If morphine is used strictly during genuine severe pain, addiction does not occur. The entire power of the drug is completely consumed. It goes entirely into erasing the pain. In this way, thanks to her, the once devilish drug was finally reborn. It became the modern, divine medicine that saves humanity. Even in modern medicine today, morphine is used heavily every single day. Hospitals worldwide rely on it to suppress cancer pain. And that is the insane history of opium explained for everyone. Thank you and goodbye.